Hi everyone, welcome to the Active Knowledge series, The Practice of Non-Greeting Business. We're in chapter 7. We're taking the competitive engine model. We are looking at the core strength in that model. We're looking at culture, the last element in that core. Chapter 7, culture. Coming up on the screen, you'll see our competitive engine model. Just get your focus there again, and you can see culture sitting there. One of the elements sitting in the core, which leadership has to be aware of, has got to massage, but has got to craft and design to meet the needs of the organization. Culture's a funny one. It's a funny one in the sense that you typically only hear culture when something bad has happened. Someone has done something which has appeared in the newspaper, it's attracted media attention, and we get the language where it's culture, it's their culture, something's wrong with the culture. But no one really understands what culture is. In our competitive engine model, we look at culture a bit differently. We turn around and say, culture is who I am as a business. It's like my personality. It's my beliefs, it's my strengths, it's my weaknesses, it's my capabilities. There's a language which we all use and a language which we're familiar with. If we think of ourselves as a person, we can describe who we are. Well, we use that same language to describe who the organization is. It means I can do some things well and I can do other things poorly, but I know how to speak about it. There is a right and a wrong culture for every business, and that is based upon how you are going to compete in the marketplace. And within an organization, you may have various cultures coming together, but there is a foundation. There is an overarching culture which applies throughout the entire organization. I think to have strong conversations and a strong view of culture, you need to think about culture in terms of my organization is a person. How do I describe who they are as a person? So if you think that way, you can say, well, we can do things some well, we can do some other things not particularly well. I can begin to craft the culture I need to support my purpose. I can begin to build the culture to bring my capability to the forefront. I can speak about it quite openly, positively, uplifting, because I'm using the language of personality and person. So the culture of your business underpins its level of success in the marketplace. We typically only think about culture when something goes wrong. Something happens, we blame culture. We need to think about culture as being that aspect, that dynamic in my organization which allows me to do things extremely well. It will negate the bad stuff, but I'm more interested in uplifting the good stuff. The right culture for your business not only drives the competitiveness, but will continue to engage and to bring people forward and to bring their potential forward. There is a distinction here. When you think about culture, culture is about delivering on the purpose for which I exist, to achieve the vision and to activate the competitive engine, the core strength of all the people who work there. It's not to drive profit. It's not about profit maximization. Profit's an outcome. It's an outcome of my ability to compete. It's an outcome of me meeting the needs of my customers and meeting them well. If I think about culture as being an organization which is focused on profit, I want more profit, more profit, more profit, you're going to find as we talk through this chapter that will bring you less profit and will cause all the bad things to come forward. So you don't want that. So what are we going to look at today? We're going to look at culture. We're going to talk about its relationship to profit. We're going to talk about where culture flows from. I think you need to understand history, worldviews, the mindset on success to actually begin to get a handle on what your culture is. I think the way in which leadership views the organization becomes important. I use the word faith. The organizational design, that impacts culture. We're going to talk about that. And then we're just going to close off talking about what's the right culture for your business and how you may begin to define that. So let's just start chatting about culture and profit and just see what we can draw from here, which may give you some guidance. Profit is earned by being competitive and a business that exists to meet the needs of its customer group and is focused on those needs and is focused on the value, it will compete effectively. Culture should support that. Profit is essential. But once you begin to make profit the reason for your existence, once you begin to lean your culture towards a focus on the metric of profit and achieving profit and doing whatever it takes to achieve profit and deliver that profit, then you begin to bring into play what you say is a bad culture. You push people down a line where you begin to have them breaching what we just call their social values. They're doing stuff which they don't think is necessarily right, but they're doing it because they're being pushed to achieve a certain outcome. Don't care what it takes. This is the result I want you to deliver. So if you begin to design a culture to deliver a profit result, a performance result, you're placing people in a position where they will breach their personal values, I believe. Self-interest will become the rule of the land, and everyone will be putting themselves ahead of everyone else and saying, I don't care, it's about me. And if you expect your team to come together and to lean into growing the business, it won't happen. You build a culture to focus on competitiveness. If you do that well, profit will be there. A sporting team, I develop a culture in that sporting team so we work as a team to win. We win by bringing our greatest capability to the forefront and everyone doing their part. We'll win the medals. If I turn around and I begin to say it's about winning the medals and whoever wins the medal is going to get the bonus, then I suddenly break down that entire connection. So where does culture come from? If culture is important, if culture should be about competitiveness, about bringing the strength of the entire organization forward, where does it come from? Where does it emerge? Well, culture starts and finishes with leadership. If you go back to the founder would have introduced a culture. It actually would have been their personality which seeded that culture. It's who they were as an individual and their character would have seeded that initial culture. As other leaders came in, that culture would have evolved and grown. Depending on how strong the founder was, they may have been tied into that. As the founder's influence waned, that culture would have changed. As you began to set purpose and motive and your trust and engagement of your employees, all of those things begin to be reflected in culture. So culture starts and finishes with leadership. And just keep in mind, leadership is through many levels of the organization, not just that top tier. It starts and finishes with the way leaders act and the culture they allow to exist. It's not just what they say. Honestly, it's probably nothing to do with that at all. It's got to do with their actions and what they allow to occur on their watch. It has everything to do with the people they appoint as leaders. Remember our language from Worthy Leadership, centripetal leadership. My arm only reaches so far, then I appoint someone else. If I do not appoint worthy leaders, culture will be broken. So it's really culture to some extent, to a large extent, to a total extent, comes from the character of the leaders you appoint. The founding leader, then the other leaders you come in, and what they set as purpose and motive. What they do themselves, actions not words, and what they allow to occur, what they call out. If you discover there's what you think is a weakness in culture, and that weakness can be bad behavior, but the weakness can be a lack of performance. And I don't mean profit, I mean the catalyst, the things which allow us to compete well, then you look to leadership. And there you will find your weakness. It does flow from the top. Leadership need to understand culture, they need to craft culture, but they need to do some homework to do that. And I think to gain a handle on culture, to begin to understand what's happening, that dynamic in your organization, to begin to be able to describe it, I think there's a number of things you want to look at. 5 aspects I think we'll look at. The history of the business, worldviews which are adopted in the business, how we think about success, whether leaders actually have a faith in the capability of the business, and how we design the organization. These 5 aspects, I believe, will begin to give you an understanding of what is influencing culture, which you can then begin to massage. Keep in mind, purpose, motive, relationship between employees and leadership, vision, that competitive engine model, that core, that's going to craft your culture, but you also just want to understand what is there at the present time and what may have seeded that, and these 5 aspects will help you to do that. So let's just look at each one of these 5 aspects. Again, what were they? History, worldviews, success, faith in the organization, and organizational design. The history. A good analogy, the simplest way I can describe this to you as an individual, I have grown up in a certain environment. I've experienced certain things. Some are good, some are bad. It has made me who I am today. My history influences who I am. As an organization, my history influences what I can do well and what I can't do particularly well, what I'm willing to step into and what I'll shy away from, where my strengths lie, where my weaknesses lie, how I treat with other people. There is that corporate culture, but remember, it is influenced by leadership. So while I look at the history of the business and the things which have happened to it over its life, I also then just need to look at the existing leadership team. And this becomes a bit harder and say, so who are you as an individual? What is your character? What has happened to you? So this becomes, in one sense, easy, and in another sense, quite difficult, because the history of the organization I can probably capture and I can probably try and discern what impact it's had, but then the incumbent leadership and how they may influence the future of the organization is something I'm going to have to think about. But I start with history. Do I actually understand where I have come from and how that may impact me? If you were interviewing someone for a senior position in your organization, you just don't want to look at the resume. You actually want to understand who they are as a person. And you understand that from understanding their life journey. You want to understand the life journey of your organization, how that impacts it as an organization, and then look at the leaders who are there now and see what influence they may have. It's the first one. History. Understand that. The second aspect, worldviews. So my worldview is just the way I think about the world around me and events which happen. So something happens, I interpret it in a certain way. I have a certain attitude, a certain set of beliefs, if you want to call it, about the world and how it works. I need to understand that for my business. And there's probably 3 aspects. Motive, success, and failure. I think if we think about those 3, we'll get a good handle on our worldviews. So the first one is motive. For what purpose do we exist? Do we exist to profiteer? Is profit first? Are we here to deliver the greatest profits we can, the greatest capital value we can? Are we here to serve shareholders and their needs? Or are we here for another purpose? Are we here to meet the needs of the community? Do we look into customer value? Are we here to actually compete effectively and better every day, and therefore profits will follow? What's that motive? Because that motive is going to influence who I am as an organization. Second one is success, and it sort of steps out of motive a bit, but it's actually quite critical in determining the culture of the organization. If I define success, and we're talking about the definition of success by the dollars you earn, the position you hold, the authority you have in the organization, the benefits which you get. Now I'm sitting up here, you're sitting down there. If I define success in that sort of hierarchical way, then one, it points to a profit-first motive, but it basically means success is about me getting ahead of someone else. I only get the rewards when I get ahead of someone else. So that sort of view of success seeds me first. Me first does not build a team. Me first leaders do not bring the potential of others to the forefront because they need to keep them below them so they can keep to advance. So motive, what are we about here in this organization? 2, how do we define success? And the third one is, how do we treat with failure? Often within organizations, if you fail, you're out. Whereas failure is merely trial and error. I'm leaning into this, I'm seeking to get it to work, has not got the results which I expected to have. Let me think about how I take those lessons and take them forward. Leaders who blame others for any failure and adopt success for themselves. It's indicative of the way the organization treats failure. The way in which I turn around and I say, you have failed to deliver this project on time, it is your fault, you're out. This creates a character in the organization, it creates a culture trait. So if you just think of this language which I'm putting around worldviews, motive, success and failure, it tells me whether I should lean in. It tells me how far I lean in, what, you can use the word risks I take, but how much commitment I give. The history of the organisation tells me what I may be capable of, what's happened to me in the past. Worldviews tell me how much I'm willing to lean into in the future. Is this an organisation which is going to reward me for my efforts, no matter what level in the organisation I'm in, or am I going to be punished? This language of success coming out of that worldview, I think, becomes important. And here, what you want to be doing is you want to be defining what success means in your organisation. It is critical that you define success, because as an individual working in your organisation, I'd like to be successful. I'd like to have a pride in my achievements. I'd like to see how I've stepped forward and done things which are good. I'd like to be rewarded and recognised for that. And the reward comes in many different forms. As I come to work every day, I want to feel as if I have been successful, that I'm a winner, that I actually can work hard and be rewarded for that. If success is defined by wealth, power and position, it's limited to a tier of select people, and everyone else, you're the fodder who come in and do the efforts. So as part of understanding culture of your organisation, a really deep dive in success and what success means in your organisation, how I achieve it becomes important. And I'll just put some narrative here from one of my books called Achieve, which is really focused on the achiever trait, that first tier and that 3 circles of leadership we've talked about. Success is the fuel of life. It energizes, it enlivens us. Without success, my life can be pretty much dead and dull. Without success, where's the catalyst in my life? Where is the potential? How can I reach forward? Striving for success is an enabler. It's going to draw my best to the forefront. It's going to draw my best into your organization. It's going to allow everyone to see what I'm capable of, but most importantly, allow me to see what I'm capable of. Success only comes from within. Success is not the tap on the shoulder from someone else. That's recognition, that's fine. But success will only come through my beliefs in myself, in my thoughts, my actions. Striving for success is that enabler. Success can't be given by others. That promotion, it's really what I see I've achieved. Success is a renewable resource. Every moment of every day, I can renew myself through the success I've achieved. Doesn't matter what level I'm at, doesn't matter what I've done, if I feel I've done something well, I've achieved success. How do you define success in your organization? Does it allow everyone to achieve what they would like to achieve in that day? So we've looked at the history, we've looked at the worldviews. In looking at worldviews, we've talked about motive. This first touch on success and the profit first motive. We've talked about failure. We've now dug a bit deeper and talked about not just success, but defining success in a way which entices contribution. Next one, faith, the fourth one. Faith is a reflection of trust. Trust underpins relationships and competitiveness. Do I as a leader, do you as a leader, do my fellow leaders, do even the staff have faith in us as an organisation, our systems, in processes, and our capabilities, in our reward structure, in doing the right thing? Leaders and individuals working in the organisation need to have faith in their business. If change is ever going to occur, if I'm ever going to bring the potential which is there to the forefront, I need to have faith that we do the right thing. Without faith, nothing's going to change. Without faith, we're not going to be willing to take a courageous step. Without faith, I as an individual, I as a leader, am not going to step forward. Do people have faith in the organisation that we do the right thing? That we reward people, that we recognise people at all levels? The politics are not there, the self-interest is not permitted. Me first doesn't exist. It's about the purpose for which we exist, the motive for which we exist, the vision I have set, the trust and the engagement which exists between the employees, that cohort of everyone working within and with our business, and leadership. And my culture. My culture is the, if you want to call it, the glue. It is the way in which we bind everything together. There's a culture which is strong. Last one I just want to speak about was design. The way you design an organization has a significant impact on culture. If you want your organization to thrive, you've got to think about design. Design takes a lot of shapes and sizes. It's subtle. Sometimes it's not subtle. Sometimes it's right in your face. It's about the systems and the processes that are put in place. Yes, it can be about the organizational structure. It can be the way in which the things work. But the subtleties are the systems and processes, the goals I set, the way I've structured it, the way in which we make decisions, actual decisions, the guiding principles, the values which I put in place, how success is measured, the nature and the granting of rewards, how they flow, what levels they flow to. These are all the things which I talk about as the design of your organization. If you don't have the right design of your organization, design is going to impact culture. Just take a simple example. This is the way we do things. You must do it this way, otherwise you'll be sacked. There's a statement of culture. No, I'm not interested in what ideas you've got. I just want you to do what I've asked you to do. No, you don't get the reward. I get the reward. I'm more senior to you. These are aspects of culture. You report to me and I make the decision. I'll decide your future. All aspects which impact culture. All impacts which show you what the culture is. So just think about that. There's a lot of aspects in culture. It does flow from the top. Leadership determine the culture of the organization, but through an understanding of the history, an understanding of the world views of the organization, thinking very carefully about what success looks like in our organization, looking at this question of do I have faith and how I design an organization, it is through these aspects that I, in actual fact, can create a culture which supports the organization, and I can eliminate the things which cause a bad culture and bad results. Does this make sense? Hope it does. So, what's the right culture for your business? Is there such a thing as a right culture for your business? Yes, there is. I think I would say there is one right culture for every business. Yes, there's going to be different expressions of culture through different areas, my engineering, to my design people, to my accounting people, to my marketing people, all going to be different personalities there, different aspects of culture, but there is one fundamental culture. What is it? Every business should craft a competitive posture. Now, we'll do this when we get in and talk about strategy, but the competitive posture is basically the way you compete in your marketplace to bring the value you have chosen to deliver to your customers to the forefront and in their hands. My competitive posture must lift my strengths to the forefront, position me well ahead of my competitors so I can outcompete them, and I do that by delivering more customer value than anyone else. Competitive posture, it's focused on delivering more customer value. So how do I design my business? Well, the way I design my business, the way I craft and mold my culture is to uplift that competitive posture. My culture is tailored and designed to position my business to win based upon my competitive posture, having regard to my purpose, my motive, and my vision. What's the right culture of your business? The one that lifts your tailored competitive posture to the forefront. Your culture is your unique personality based upon where your strengths are and bringing those strengths to the forefront. Keeping in mind your strengths is that combined effort and talent of everyone in your organization leaning in to do what? To deliver more customer value than anyone else, to fulfill the purpose you have set, where? Heading right towards that vision which you've cast. It's my personality. Who do I need to be successful? So again, let me just tease that back. I'm interviewing someone for a senior position, an important position, it can be any position in actual fact, and I'm asking myself in the back of my mind, who do I need for this position? What am I looking for in them? Yes, there's certain skills, there's certain capabilities, but I'm looking for a personality, I'm looking for a character. What traits does this person need to have? When I think about my organization, what I need to be as an organization to compete effectively, I am asking the same question. who do I need to be to fulfill my purpose? So understanding who your business needs to be and the purpose it is seeking to fulfill to meet a defined customer need, that's your starting point. Understanding how I view the world and how that may need to be molded or changed becomes important. Setting the right motive, the motive to compete from the outset, is important. Crafting a view of success which empowers people, which makes people want to achieve success and lean in and therefore bring their potential to the forefront. Making sure there's a healthy attitude to failure. Okay, didn't work this time. What are we learning from that and how we take that forward? Trust, engagement as the cornerstone of all relationships. Creating faith. I have faith in our business. I have faith in our leaders because I know what we're about and what we do. And my organization is designed in a way which continually molds and strengthens the culture of our organization. Think of your business as a person. Think of the personality I need to be, to have, to strengthen, to be successful in my marketplace based upon the value I'm seeking to deliver to my customers, and look at all the elements from where I've come from to where I need to go to achieve that. This is what culture is. Culture is who your business is if it were a person. It includes my personality, my traits, my attitude. Culture allows my business to do something well and some things not so well. That's okay. It's crafted to support the purpose for which I exist, who I need to be, and to enable me to compete to my greatest capability. That's culture. And again, if you just look at our competitive engine diagram coming up on the screen, you'll see the role which everything now begins to fulfill. The core of my competitiveness exists with leadership and the relationship they build with the employees. Relationship of trust and engagement. Motive and purpose, those drive chains, begin to get that energy moving and begin to build that. The vision I set and the culture which I bring in to allow me to achieve that vision sets the core strength. Culture is fundamental. It's not something just to be looked at when something goes wrong. It is something to be continuously strengthened so I can achieve the purpose for which I exist and bring everyone's potential to the forefront. 3 circles: achiever, enabler, catalyst. Who do I need to be an achiever to bring my capabilities to the forefront? Who do I need to be an enabler to bring other people's capability to the forefront? Who do I need to be so as a catalyst, as an organization, all the people drawn into our domain are applying themselves to achieve the purpose and the vision for which we exist. Culture is fundamental to our success. It cannot be ignored. It must be designed, crafted, and compounded and strengthened every day. Thank you for your time. We've talked about the elements in the core. Next, we're going to move on to basically focus, which is about customer focus, capability, and strategy. You can call it part 2 of the competitive engine. It is now taking that competitive strength which we've built and shifting it forward in a specific direction. Again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention. And I look forward to seeing you in our next chapter. Be well.
Hi everyone, it's Sally here. I work with Richard. You will see coming up on the next 3 slides. Firstly, a URL link if you are interested in purchasing Richard's guide to the competitive engine, titled Compete, which is a 274-page full-color guide in either printed or a digital PDF format, or both if you wish. Secondly, a URL link to Richard's library of some 500 articles on the various elements of the competitive engine and more that you can access freely. And thirdly, there is an email address for any questions you may have. These are great resources, and I commend them to you. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and I hope to see you again soon.